Hey Mustangs, this is Miss Quintanilla. I'm one of your school counselors. Thank you so much for joining us for this counseling lesson. We have a super important lesson that you have to listen to. It's in regards to drugs and substance use and substance abuse. So let's go ahead and get started on this important topic. All righty. So substance use and abuse prevention. All right, so the goals of this lesson is for you to identify different types of drugs, substances, the way that they're used, and the effects that they have. So we're going to learn about the impact of these things and how it truly can affect not only your body, your mind, but also your family, your loved ones, your academic performance, and even your friendships. Okay. And also, we're going to learn about some specific resources and people you can talk to for help if you or someone you know wants to stop using. So, what is a drug? So, according to the Oxford Dictionary, a drug is a substance which has physiological effect when introduced into the body. So, it can impact your brain, your vision, your memory, all of that stuff. So, in other words, drugs physically affect your entire body, but the brain doesn't stop developing until age 25. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind. When you're putting substances into your body, such as alcohol, or marijuana or vape or whatever it is, you're affecting your brain and your brain is still developing. So you're literally interrupting development by intaking toxic chemicals and basically poison for your body. So what is happening during this age? There's a lot of changes in your body, in your brain, cognitive changes, your emotions, social changes. You're switching schools, you're transitioning from like elementary to middle, and then from middle to high, and then from high to college, and so there's a lot of transitions. It's a stressful time, right? There's also peer pressure going on from your friends or people on your teams and stuff, people at the park. There can also be changes in your family, in relationships. And also during this time, people really want to figure out who they are. And they can often be caught in this, like trying to please others or trying to be part of like cool crews and stuff. And so there's a lot of stress during this age. So, what are legal drugs? So, legal drugs means you're able to purchase them legally when you're an adult. Okay, so nicotine and alcohol, they're highly addictive drugs that are legal to purchase when you are an adult. Does that mean just because they're legal, they don't have effects? Absolutely not. They do have effects, they have damaging effects, but you can buy them once you're an adult. And so nicotine is found in cigarettes, vapes, and many other ways of forms of tobacco. All right, so nicotine is one of the most highly addictive drugs. So for someone who smokes, it takes them an average of 7 attempts of quitting to actually be successful in quitting. So let's say throughout your life, if you were a smoker, on average, it takes you 7 times where you say, I'm going to quit this time, I'm going to do my best. 7 times for you to actually be able to quit smoking. Alcohol is also a legal drug. Um, and so you must be 21 to purchase. And alcohol, it can be very, very dangerous because people don't know how strong it is. People can often just be like, oh, it's just a little drink. I'm just gonna drink a little. I'm just gonna get a little head change. And next thing you know, they're drunk. They're on the ground. They can't remember what happened. They're, driving drunk and potentially, possibly even killing people. We see this happen all the time. Just because they sell it at the store, just because people around you have it, does not make it a good thing. Okay. Alcoholism can also be genetic. So if people in your family suffer from alcoholism, the risk, you have a higher chance of suffering from alcoholism if you do drink. So if you know alcoholism runs in your family, stay away from it because chances are if you do drink and you think, I'm just going to have a little, you may become addicted yourself. And we also know, like I mentioned earlier, it really messes with the development of your brain. All right. So teens who drink are most likely to get into fights and just do things outside of their character, right? like get drunk, not be able to know what happened, commit crimes. It just, people call it sometimes liquid courage because it makes you do things that you normally wouldn't do, you know, and that's not always good things. So also, drinking can damage a student's thinking and concentration and sport performance. So, if you're on a team or you're part of something that you really care about, but you start drinking, oftentimes what happens is you end up losing control and you end up putting this thing as more important than like your sport or your team or whatever it was that you were doing. Also, it doesn't allow you to perform as well at school or on your team because your thinking is impaired. And teen drinkers are most likely to gain weight and to have high blood pressure. So alcohol can cause a lot of different health issues, and we'll learn more about that. All right, this is the addiction cycle. Pretty much is just showing that people start using this one alcohol or drug. Next thing you know, they build up their tolerance. They need it often. Now they're dependent on it. They need 5 drinks every day. Now they're officially addicted. Next thing you know, they're trying to stop, but the withdrawal symptoms are very strong. So oftentimes they will relapse again, which means they fall back into it and they continue to use. That's why it's called an addiction cycle, because this has been studied. There's research that shows that this is what happens. Just because you want to stop doesn't mean you can stop. True or false, alcoholism can run in your family. Can alcoholism run in your family? True. Yes, it can run in your family. If you have family members that are alcoholics, there may be a higher chance that if you start drinking, you may also become an alcoholic. Some other types of drugs. So vaping. So vapes are these electronic devices that they heat a liquid. So it produces aerosol, kind of like that little smoke. And so that aerosol, it contains nicotine with flavors. And you may think, oh, it's just little flavored air or it's just little flavored steam. No, that little steam and water vapor actually contains cancer-causing chemicals. It contains nicotine. It contains metals such as nickel, tin, and lead, and a lot of different chemicals that can cause serious lung damage and lung disease. If you do not know about this, look it up. There's people who have lost their lungs or have lung failure or even lung cancer and many different diseases from doing something that they thought was pretty much harmless because, oh, it's just a flavored little smell thing. No, it has very poisonous chemicals in it, and it can cause very serious illnesses. Okay, so it also harms parts of your brain that control your ability to pay attention, your ability to learn. It affects your mood. You may become very super moody or, angry and then happy and then just feeling like out of control with your moods. Also, it can affect your ability to make good decisions. If you're not aware, there's many vapes that have actually blown up and caused fires and explosions. They've blown up in people's pockets, they've blown up in people's homes and caused like serious damage and stuff. So you got to be careful with that too. And people can be seriously poisoned by swallowing, breathing, or absorbing this liquid through their skin or their eyes. Okay, so this is some of the effects. Immediately, you may feel like you feel relaxed, but really this is affecting your throat. You can get poisoned. It may cause chest pain, nausea, vomiting, and long-term, it can truly damage your brain. It can cause respiratory problems like breathing problems, permanent lung damage, and even death. Name a brain function that vaping impacts. So think of everything I said. How does vaping impact your brain? Okay, so vaping impacts your ability to pay attention, your ability to even learn, your mood, and your impulse control. So you can find yourself doing a bunch of things that you thought you'd never do. Like, this was so not like me to do that. All right, cannabis or marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it, THC. So you can find marijuana as a leaf, these little like nuggets, right? That can be like rolled up. You can find it in edibles, in things that are supposedly candy, but it says on there that it has THC. So if you see this, be careful. And that's why I honestly recommend that you guys don't be just taking random snacks from people or random candy, because you never know what you're having. I'm sure some of you guys have seen some edibles and it looks like, oh, it just looks like it's a Jolly Rancher, or it just looks like it's a hot Cheeto bag. And next thing you know, it has a bunch of marijuana in it, marijuana infused. And then people have ended up in the emergency room because they lose control of their body. They get too high. Also, this marijuana and THC can be found in many different ways, like, in vapes and things like that. Fentanyl. There is a fentanyl crisis. Drive around downtown LA or MacArthur Park, you see people who are using drugs, and oftentimes you'll see people who are completely slumped over, like you'll see them like, with their head down and they can't get up. This is an effect from fentanyl. So fentanyl is a very common drug that is affecting the entire country. And so it is very, very, very strong. It's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. And morphine is a medicine or a drug that's used in hospitals to control extreme pain. So when someone breaks their leg or something like that, they may give you morphine to deal with it. So think about how strong fentanyl is, that it's 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. And oftentimes fentanyl is it's put into other drugs. It's put into heroin or cocaine. And so you think you're doing one drug that's not that bad, but truly it can be laced with fentanyl. And people die from fentanyl every single day from overdosing, and it can even lead to death. So like I said, this is what fentanyl can look like little candies, or, looks, oh, it can't do anything too crazy. Look, it looks cute. Don't be fooled. How many times stronger is fentanyl than morphine? 50 to 100 times stronger. All right, so like we said, how can it impact the brain? Your ability to plan, your ability to judge something, your ability to perform easy tasks. Next thing you know, you're in class, you can't even write an essay, you can't even take a test. It slows your thinking and your reaction time. You can lose some of your memory, and you can have a lower IQ, all because you were either drinking or vaping or smoking or using any of the other drugs as mentioned. All right, and long-term effects, you can engage in dangerous behaviors, you can have difficulty in school, you can become addicted and depend on these substances, and also all of the above substances and drugs that I talk about can cause mental health disorders. So oftentimes when people have these drugs, it starts playing with their brain. It starts, people start seeing things that are not there, imagining things that are not there, hearing things that are not there. That's why sometimes you may see people talking to themselves on the street. It could potentially be drug usage or a mental health disorder. And oftentimes it's both together. Okay. So don't think that these little things are that these drugs or alcohol or vapes come with no consequences. There's lots of consequences. So think about that before you engage in this dangerous behavior. Other negative impacts of substance use. So all of these drugs and alcohol, they're gateway drugs. What that means is that maybe you find yourself like just smoking a little bit of vape here and there. Next thing you know, you're smoking weed. Next thing you know, you want to do something that's stronger. You're chasing a high because now you're used to that. So now what's the next thing that's going to get me even more high? And so these are all gateway drugs. So just know that if you start doing this, you may more than likely start doing something else that's stronger down the line. Okay, this can affect your family. You can cause strain on your family, strain on your You can have strained friendships. People no longer want to hang out with you, or they don't trust you anymore. Maybe you've been peer pressuring them and no one wants to be your friend anymore. No one wants to be around you. Think about all these impacts before you engage in this dangerous behavior. It can affect your school and your job performance. Maybe you wanted to be on honor roll, but now you started using the substance and now you can't even concentrate. You're getting lower grades. All of these are real things that happen to real people. Also, financial difficulties. None of this is free stuff. Someone somewhere is paying for this, and it's not cheap. Okay. And most importantly, one of the most important, it leads to consequences with your school and with law enforcement, especially if you try and sell or give this to other people near you. All right, so this is how you can spot that people are using, okay? You may see their behavior change, their sleeping pattern change, they start hanging out with completely different people. They're no longer interested in, let's say, things that they enjoyed, like, let's say they liked cheer a lot or they liked soccer a lot. Now they don't even care about that anymore. That can be a sign that something's going on. They can act out and be angry, but self-isolation, that means hanging out alone now. You used to see them be very social, have a friend group, and next thing you know, they're very alone, they're angry. All of these are signs that someone is struggling with it, okay? What can you do? So how can you help yourself or others when going through this? Communicate with an adult. Tell a parent, tell a staff member here at school, a counselor, a dean, a principal, whoever it is, get advice from them. Also, be a positive influence on your friends. Don't be peer pressuring them. First of all, you shouldn't even be doing any of this, but don't peer pressure other people to do it. Okay, because you can cause them to have all these effects that we spoke about. So don't peer pressure anybody to do anything. Engage in healthy hobbies, stay in after school programs, join a team, do something so you can be productive with your time. Go exercise, go to the gym with a family member if you can, and listen to your friends, listen to what they're going on. Find someone who will listen to you too. Just know that all your feelings are valid, and we really encourage you just to seek help and seek others around you. Have others around you seek help to encourage them. All right, and here are some of the resources if you do not feel like telling an adult or you feel like just looking up resources somewhere else, that may be the first step for you. There's www.drugs.com. There's 988, which is a national crisis lifeline that you can text or call 24/7. There's also teensforteenshelp.org. All of these resources on here, every single one of these will help find you the support that you need. The LA Substance Abuse Hotline, 844-804-7500. So all these agencies and these hotlines can help you find the appropriate people to help you get through this. And final reminder, like I mentioned, talk to someone, get advice from people, and think about all the impacts that drug use brings. Not only drug, but alcohol use as well. Think of all the horrible things that happen to people who engage in this behavior, especially when you're still not an adult yet. Okay, the impacts on your brain, on your body, on your schooling, on your family, the impacts are endless. Okay, so make good decisions. All right, and if you need help with anything, come find any of us, Ms. Quintanilla, Mr. Phillips, Ms. Hickson, and any staff member on campus would be happy to help you through this.